my mom.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this.
She's just hilarious. And that lady, she knows when she don't have the answers.
Yeah.
So sometimes it might have been like, girl, I don't have the answer either, but you better think this through. And so I think it was the little nudges like that with my mom. My grandmother,
tell me.
I mean, she was straight up, you're not doing that. Stay from across the street. That's how she would talk. Stay from across the street. Focus on your lesson. Happy Mother's Day.
My name is Noemie Gaines.
And I'm Sharnikya Howard.
And we are sister friends.
Yes.
And we are sharing a little bit about us through this Happy Mother's Day podcast.
We're sharing a lot. It's for the mothers, the aunties, the godmoms, the ones that have a tribe, that are looking for a tribe, that are open to new experiences, that are
anxious and curious about life.
Yeah, it's for you.
Yep. But we also want you to share your perspective on what we're talking about. So we welcome you along this ride.
Happy Mother's Day!
Do you feel like, and the reason why I say that, because like that's not going to work with Queenie. So I'm like, cute story, bro, but comma, you know, I wonder, I don't wonder, because we know our babies, but we both know Queenie. We both know our girl. And I wonder how it's going to make you stretch, because like, if you were to have like those questions that your mom said, Queenie would be like, so why are you asking me? You know, and I just feel like you got to be prepared. So maybe that's not the best approach, but and I think you have to know your kids, you know, and like when I think about Emery is my super sensitive, matter of fact, like she's gonna want to know details. Like she's gonna be like, you know, what is this? How does this work? What does it look like? You know what I mean? She is very like, I just know I have to be a walking encyclopedia to answer any question. Like she's never so satisfied. She's so curious. And like, that's something that's always scared me, because I am prepared to have any conversation that she wants to have, but I'm noticing that sometimes I don't have answers. So it's just like, instead of me thinking about like what kind of mom I want to be, it's more of I'm thinking about what kind of approach I want to give her. And I want her to always know that mommy's going to tell you the truth no matter what. You know what I mean? And I'm always going to give her the opportunity to make her own decisions. And I think that's what I'm going to carry from my mom. My mom has always given me the independence to make my decision. She's like, I'm not always going to be happy with your decision, but I'm not the one that has to live your life. So you can do this or you cannot do this. So like, the judgment that I ever felt was more so from like society, my friends, like other people, but never, I'm not going to say never from my mom, but not as in, you know, a teenager and up. Like once we started developing our mother-daughter relationship and I felt more comfortable telling her the truth about everything, you know, I just feel like I can trust her. But she's always raised me like that. She always raised me like, you're a unit. The only people that can protect you are me and your daddy. And she's like, your friends can't protect you. So it's like going back to the whole friendship. Yeah, but going back to the friendship conversations, I never told my friends stuff first. I never, like, if I was in a bind, I'm like, I'm calling my mom. Like, y'all can figure it out, but I'm calling my mom. Like, I remember I didn't sneak out, but I was like out doing something that I wasn't supposed to be doing. Hanging out with people that I wasn't supposed to be hanging out with, and we had driven really far away to like some haunted whatever. Girl, I didn't have a curfew either, and I started hanging out with some of the wrong people, and I was like, ain't nobody gonna ask me no questions, and I was trying to call my mom, and I couldn't get a hold of her, and I'm like, I knew that if she didn't know that I was trying to reach her, like it wouldn't be like me. It would be a breaking of trust. So I had to call my godmother, who's my mom's older sister, her approach is not like my mom. She's, Nenen, I love you, but like she's the older maternal person that you can't come to her 110% with the truth. And I was just like, okay, Nenen, that's Haitian for godmother. I was like, Nenen, I need you to tell my mom and tell her that I'm okay. I'm trying to get in touch with her, but I'm out and I'm going to be home really late. She's like, where are you? Are you safe? I'm like, Nenen, can you just please tell my mom? She ends up getting upset, doesn't tell my mom. I come home late and my mom's furious. She's like, what's going on? You didn't call me. And I'm like, Mommy, I called Nene. I told her everything. Call her right now. My mom's heated. She calls her, and my godmother's like, yeah, Noemie called me. Everything was okay. And then it was done. I wasn't in trouble anymore. Like, and I'm just like, yo, that's how this works. Like, that's how this, and it's just like, my mom is just a very big personality. She's a hothead. It can be really scary, but approach her
it
right.
It can be really scary.
But you just gotta be honest with her. Like, it's like, if you don't come to her with the truth, if you don't come to her with authenticity, she's gonna smell it off of you. And I think it's gonna be more of an insult because you ain't come to her. You know what I mean? For real. But like, I think I saw the way that she viewed me and the way that she was really like true to our relationship. And because all she said was like, you just got to tell me the truth. I'm like, I did. Like, here, I told you the truth. She's like, okay. And that was it. And it never came up again.
Done.
And I'm like, wow. Like, wow.
All I have to do is be honest.
Yep. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to do.
That's what we're doing.
Like, do you have, like, are there any, like, conversations or things that you're, because I know Queenie is a different type of, I don't know if she's as much curious, but she's like, you need to tell me, and tell me now, like, what's going on.
Yeah, so Queenie is the one who will like grab your face and she'll say, just tell me.
Yeah.
Or she'll say, just spit it out. There are I walk a fine line with Queenie in regard to like our unit.
Yeah.
Because and it's funny, her teacher is who told me that. So I have
that
a very
deep breath
good
is scaring me.
No.
Okay.
I have a really good relationship with her teachers, and I just I know that sometimes children say things in class that they may not say at home. So I was just sharing that, like, if you ever just keep me glued in, because children are maybe at school talking about their dads, and there isn't a dad in her home. And she was like, oh, I got you covered. She was like, but that little girl, she's like, you have nothing to worry about. She's like, she is very resilient. And when other people are talking about their different family structures, because there's mom and mom, there's dad and dad, there's child and nanny most of the time. There's so they're all different family structures in her classroom. She says she is so proud to share that is her and mommy. And she talks about her godparents and uncle. They know who Uncle Daddy is,
I love that.
And so, but her teacher said to me is that she said, don't avoid it and do not lie. Yeah. So I was like, I will not avoid it and I will not lie. And so when things come up, I give it to her in a way that is still respectful, because that is still a position that I want to respect, and I want her to have respect for it, regardless of what it looks like today, because you don't know I don't know what God is going to do in that relationship.
Yep.
So I don't want her to have this negative idea when God transforms this man.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but those are the things where what I do believe is that regardless of what happens in that space, my daughter is going to ask me for the truth.
Yep.
And that is scary.
Yeah. Or is it amazing?
Yeah.
Perspective.
Yes. Yeah.
Perspective. What about giving her the truth is so scary? Before you say that, I have a question. It's leading up to what you said about your mom, how you were like, there are certain questions that are in the past. Do you ever, not just with your mom, but with anybody, if that door is closed, but you still have questions, how do you approach that? Because that can be the case with our kids. And I'm not asking because I've been in a situation, but it is something that I think about, because, I feel like now we're talking about having difficult conversations with our kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, how do you navigate those things when it's out of your control? Let's think about that. Okay, let's talk through it. Let's talk through it. Okay, perfect example. We can cut this out if you don't want to talk about this, but I know there was a difficult conversation that you were struggling to have with Queenie about some circumstances that happened, you know, in the family.
Yes, because it's about
Yeah.
to be good.
But we do have to spend more time looking at the camera because we're looking at ourselves. Sorry, guys. We got into, so we do this a lot because at the end of the day, the sit down talk, it really is a conversation amongst sisters, amongst friends about a lot of the things that we're going through on a day-to-day basis. And we don't know the answers, you know, and we really lean on each other as co-parents, tribe members, all of those things to help us navigate through those things. And man, I just feel like this is such a teachable and like learning moment for the both of us because this is the first of many of those with the kids that we have. You know what I mean? Like, and the moms that we want to be. Like, it's cute when they're like 5, but now they're 6 and they're asking really difficult questions, and I don't know what to do. But yes, going back to that, there were some difficult. I don't know if you want to speak on that a little bit.
Yeah. So, back in February, so I have an aunt that had been struggling with cancer for some time, and it was getting really bad, and I hadn't shared that with Queenie, but I got the call that we should come over, and that's code for the time is near, and so I'm like, I'm gonna take her with me. She enjoyed this auntie. It was my mom's sister-in-law, but my aunt, nonetheless. And I took Queenie with me, and we went upstairs. And Queenie handled it very well. Aunt Pat didn't look like what Queenie was used to, but she did handle it very well in the moment. Like, she drew her a picture, and we talked and we laughed. And when we got back downstairs, and I needed to leave, it was just really heavy for me. So I'm like, we're gonna go. So we get downstairs, and Queenie's like, well, what is wrong with Aunt Pat? Like, why is she in the bed? And she just had a lot of questions, and I explained to her that she had cancer. And so Queenie was like, well, I'm just going to pray. And, what she is used to is that when she prays, it happens. Whatever she asks, if it's raining, she knows I don't like driving in the rain. I do know how it happens all the time, but sometimes I'm like, God, chill. Because if the girl prays for it to stop raining while we're driving, it stops. God.
Yeah. So what happens when she prays for something and it doesn't happen?
And thus far, everything she prays for happens, right? Well, at the same time, my friend's dad is also suffering from cancer. And so we're praying for both of them. And Queenie is, her prayers are fervent for a 5-year-old. Like, the girl can pray. And she, every night, it's time to pray for Aunt Pat and Tiki's dad. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. And I'm praying with her. And sometimes I'm crying, but she doesn't know I'm crying. And then Aunt Pat passes away. And a couple of days later, Tiki's dad passes away. And I have not told her. And now it's been over a month. I just cannot bring myself to tell her. And I was having a conversation with someone else, and Queenie was present, and I slipped up and mentioned Aunt Pat. And she said, what did you say about Aunt Pat? Like, she was just on guard. And I was like, nothing. And my friend had to help me clean it up because I am just not ready to have that conversation. I have concerns around what that might mean for her prayer life or how she sees God and, how her prayers manifest, all of that. And she's such a strong believer right now in miracles and God and all the things, and likewise, but I'm an adult, and so I know that God exists in both, so that's.
But do you have to be an adult to know that God exists in both? Do you? You know what I mean? We hear, I am no religious leader, none of this, but I just think that there is this huge negative connotation when it comes to death, but I feel like there's a way to shift it. It's like God calls his people home when they're suffering. You know what I mean? It's like, or maybe Aunt Pat Aunt Pat was hurting and God wanted his Aunt Pat back. Or God gave her to us for this, I feel like there are ways for her, she's a smart girl. She's a really smart girl. And I don't know that this would shake her faith in the way that it would, especially if she knew that you kept it from her. Because like I think that's what would make the negative connotation. Like, my mom didn't want to tell me this because maybe something was bad. Versus, I mean, when you tell her, don't tell her the timeline.
Right. Because I'm scared of her.
Yeah, no. We all are. But she is like the walking truth, man. Like, she's like, you know what I mean? And I asked that because, one, I don't know what I would do if I was in your situation. I would probably avoid it too. But I think we don't give them enough credit.
We don't.
I don't think we give it enough credit. And this kind of goes into like the therapy conversation and stuff like that. I think this is more your concern, like the reality of what could happen versus the fear. It's not even a check, it's just a conversation. You know what I mean? Because it's not a check because I don't think what you're doing is wrong. I just think that what you're doing is difficult. And there are a lot of ways to handle the situation, but enough time has passed to where, like, I don't want the fact that you kept it from her to be a bigger situation, because that's not even the thing. Like, you're not keeping it from her to keep from her, you're keeping it from her to protect her. But I think that spending this time to figure out, like, she has to understand that death happens, and it happens to good people. It can happen, you know what I mean, to anyone, and that God really has his own timing and his own plans on how we're supposed to be living our lives while we're here, you know? And I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I do challenge you to think about, based on what you know about Queenie, are you sure that her, like, she's going to be like, oh, there's no God. I don't know Queenie to be that person.
And now that, you know, as you were saying that, and you said, you know, you don't know that it would shake her faith. I'm like, subconsciously, do I not want to talk about it because it shook mine a little?
We're bringing our stuff.
Yeah.
I think it did. I think it affected you. I mean, it clearly.
It did.
But I think
I was expecting a different outcome.
Yeah.
Like, I really was. With Aunt Pat. I really was.
Or is it when you pray, everything happens?
Yeah.
And then when this didn't happen,
it was like,
you know? Yeah, girl. That could be it. And you said something too. You're like, I was crying, but she didn't know I was crying. Why don't you want her to see you cry? I did not plan for this, guys.
You know, that's real. And there have been other things. You know, I had a friend struggling with depression some time ago, and Queenie came in my room, and I quickly ran in my closet because I was crying for my friend. And I don't know what that is. Like, for whatever reason, I just want her to see peace and me happy in our, you know, and I don't know what that is.
Can I share a story? And not to scare you or anything, but just like a real story. So my parents are divorced, and my mom never shared the detail. All I knew about my parents were that they were Romeo and Juliet. And they were. My parents were together since they were younger, you know. They just had a very, like, romantic, or at least it came across as a super romantic story. And then when they told me that they were separated, I was devastated because that was not my reaction. Like, what? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? You're Romeo and Juliet. Like, what do you mean you don't love each other anymore? And one of my mom's biggest regrets, she shared with me, she's like, I regret that I didn't share to you the reality of relationships. You know what I mean? And that really affected me in my relationships, because I wasn't necessarily the girl that was like head over heels and I'll fall for everybody. But in my relation, I took them very seriously. You know what I mean? Every relationship that I entered, I'm like, this could be a marriage. This could be like a really long-term relationship. So I didn't have a lot of boyfriends, but like, it wasn't for play for me. You know what I mean? And I think that I put myself at a disservice because I didn't really enjoy the relationships. I wasn't in it like, this could be something or this could be nothing, but let's enjoy the moment. I didn't have that situation until my college relationship, and that relationship ended. So funny enough, Kier was the first relationship that I was in where I'm just like, we're just gonna take it and see where it goes. And clearly, it ended up being my most successful relationship. But going back to my mom, she was just like, I wish I would have shown you that. Like, but her thing was, I was so afraid of how you would feel about your father and how you would feel about marriage and how you would feel about all these things. And you know what happened? I hated marriage after that. So everything that you were afraid of, it ended up happening, after they got divorced. And I'm like, when I'm thinking about Emery or just like Sydney and the kids in general, it's like, I think that we need to give kids the opportunity for them to develop their own thoughts about things and to develop their own ways of coping around things, ways of feeling about things and internalizing things, because we can't control that. All we can control is what we put in front of them, but how they digest that, that's completely up to them in the way that they're built. And I think that, I'm not saying like, had my mom not, I mean, I know people who probably share too much, with their kids, but I think going back to the honesty and to be honest about everything, you know what I mean? And I don't know that we had that. And like going back to like, we want to protect our kids so much from emotional turmoil, but like we look at it like it's a bad thing. Like God created us to be complex human beings, to be angry and to be joyful and to be jealous and to be grateful. And it's like, these aren't negative feelings. These are human feelings. God created these feelings so that we can feel them, And granted, this is an epiphany that I'm just now, kind of coming into, but I just think that it's really important to catch those things and to give our kids the opportunity. Like, Queenie might struggle a little bit with, her faith, but she has a God-fearing mama that's gonna be there to help her feel safe and help her feel like secure in her relationship with God. Like, that's what you have to worry about, making sure that you're able to do that, not necessarily shielding her from the realities of life. You know what I mean?
What that is. And I remember when we were going through like the episodes, and one was gonna be like, that was proposed was, raising kids so they won't need therapy. We were both like, no, change that. Because they are going to need that.
And therapy's not a bad
It's
thing.
not a bad thing.
People go to therapy to fix them. Therapy's not gonna fix you.
Right.
Therapy's gonna tell you what your problem is and give you the tools for you to fix yourself. This ended up being like 3 episodes.
Yeah,
we talked about it
for sure. That I believe that's at least 3. Man, but that was good.
That was such that felt like Happy Mother's
Yes.
Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Did you have that conversation?